Welcome to Hatman Strats Back Daily Boxing News. Now, I want to talk about this notion that's out there that the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight was scripted, fixed, staged, however you want to describe it. Now, you guys may remember that before the fight, I addressed this particular narrative in this video right here. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, fake scripted fight or real? And in the video, I said that while I'm open to the possibility that it might be a scripted fight because of the age of Mike Tyson and the fact that Tyson's been in WWE and Jake Paul's a YouTuber, and, you know, I was open to the possibility that it could be scripted for sure. But I also said in the video that I suspect it will be real, the fight. And depending on what transpired in the fight, I may change my mind, right? If I see certain signs that seem as though it was a scripted affair, then I would say so after the fact, because again, I was open to the possibility. But a lot of people who are saying that the fight was scripted and fixed now, post-fight, are people who had a ridiculous perception of what Mike Tyson was capable of beforehand. And I say this because some of the things that I've seen on Instagram in particular that people are citing as evidence that Mike Tyson threw the fight are absolutely ridiculous. Like, seriously, some of the most f***ed nonsense I've ever heard in my life. Okay, but let me just show you what my perception of the fight was beforehand. So this was a video that I did before the fight, and the headline reads, "If Jake Paul can't beat a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, then he's going nowhere." Okay, that's what I said. And so here's the actual, a clip from the actual video itself, just to refresh your memories here. Just mute this. Listen. At the public workout the other day, Mike Tyson looked absolutely terrible. Terrible. The reflexes were not there. The speed was not there. The snap on his punches was not there. He looked terrible. Now, before the idiotic fanatics get on my case, "Oh, I'd like to see what you look like at 60. You're missing the point, you idiot. I'm not saying I would look better than him at 60. I'm just pointing out the fact that he is a shadow of 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 the fighter he once was. If Mike Tyson today, this version of Mike Tyson, was fighting Johnny Fisher, and I don't rate Johnny Fisher highly, I'm telling you people, Johnny Fisher would smash Mike Tyson today to pieces in a couple of rounds. It'd smash him to bits. Any British level, even probably most area level heavyweights today would smash Mike Tyson to pieces in a couple of rounds. Do not allow yourselves to be deluded by your undying love for Iron Mike. Father Time is undefeated. Mike Tyson's not going to be better than he was 19 years ago. He's not going to be better than he was when he fought Roy Jones. He's going to be worse. That's how biology works, folks. Even if you're a cruiserweight today, if you're going anywhere, you have to be beating a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. You have to. Well, you think Vidal Riley today couldn't beat Mike Tyson at 60? Of course he could beat him. Any of these cruiserweight contenders, if they couldn't beat this version of Mike Tyson right now and do it easily, they really should finish, as Prince Nassim once said about Chris Eubank Jr. They should retire. You can't beat a damn 60-year-old man. All right, so that's what I said before the fight. Okay, that was my perception of Mike Tyson, that Tyson was totally washed up 20 years ago. He looked poor in the Roy Jones Jr. fight compared to his old self, obviously, as you would expect at that age. I think he was in his mid-50s at the time. Now he's in his late 50s. He's nearly 60, okay? And I mentioned in the clip you just heard that at the public workout, Mike Tyson looked disastrous. He looked terrible. And so for me, it wasn't a matter of whether Mike Tyson would be his old self in the Jake Paul fight in terms of what the result would be. It was whether or not Jake Paul was bad enough to lose to a geriatric Mike Tyson. A lot of the people who are now saying that the fight was definitely scripted, and they're pointing to, and this is mainly what they're doing, they're pointing to training footage of Mike Tyson before the fight that was released, that was doing the rounds on social media. And they're saying that the training footage was impressive. Tyson hitting the pads explosively. But when he got in the ring, he wasn't doing that. This proves somehow that he threw the fight. The training footage was edited. You know, Mike Tyson, it would show Mike Tyson throwing a combination, and then they would cut the footage, and then they would show another clip of him throwing a combination, and then it would be cut, and then another clip of him throwing a combination. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that in order to find out what someone is really like, you need to see unedited footage of them hitting the pads. Yeah? At the open workout, it was a live stream. It was unedited footage. And that is why I said in this video that Mike Tyson looked terrible at the open workout. I mean, the trainer that was doing pads with him would put the pads up, and Mike Tyson, literally the time it took for him to register what his trainer had said, to the point where Mike Tyson actually threw punches, was like several seconds. There was no sharpness there at all. His legs and his hands were totally out of sync with each other. There was no hand foot or, you know, coordination and so on. And if you notice in that unedited, you must watch the unedited live stream version of the open workout. You will have noticed that Tyson couldn't get shots off. He was struggling to get his shots off on the pads in the middle of the ring when his trainer was giving him a little bit of movement. So his trainer then went up to the ropes where he's not moving, and that's where Mike Tyson was able to get a few shots off. And even then, it took him several seconds before the instructions had registered and he was thrown out. He looked terrible. I can't emphasize it enough. I said it before the fight, he looked terrible. And therefore, I expected him to look terrible in the ring. The question was he going to be terrible enough for Jake Paul to beat him? I knew he was going to look terrible. So all of these people expecting Mike Tyson to be this explosive beast, you were fooled. You weren't smart enough to figure out that training footage was edited. You weren't smart enough to say, okay, let me watch the open workout live stream. Then I'll get a proper idea about how Mike Tyson looks. You weren't smart enough to do that. And because you got bamboozled by edited training footage, you're now going into full-on cognitive dissonance. Yeah? Where you're thinking, oh, you can't reconcile the fact that the stuff you saw pre-fight was not representative of Mike Tyson's actual physical state. And so he must have thrown the fight. You know, I saw one clip on Instagram. I couldn't believe it. I saw one clip on Instagram where Mike Tyson lands a left hook on Jake Paul in their fight. And, you know, it doesn't really land flush. And then they show a clip of Mike Tyson landing a left hook when he was about 18 years old. You know, when he just turned pro. And they said, this is what happens when Mike Tyson pulls his punches, as in the Jake Paul fight. Yet this is what happens when he's in a real fight and the fight's not fixed. I mean, honestly, that has got to be the most I've ever seen in my life. Comparing a 58-year-old Mike Tyson clip to a clip of when he was 18. They're saying, oh, the clip when he's 58, that's him pulling his punches in a fixed fight. But the one when he's 18, I mean, God damn it all. I can't take that level of stupidity. I mean, give it a rest. I can't do it, people. I can't do it. Again, I was always open to the possibility that it could be a scripted fight. But what people are showing as evidence that it was scripted is just stupid. It's stupid. Yeah? Mike Tyson looked terrible at the open workout. I watched the Netflix build-up where he was training. He looked terrible in the training. He looked terrible on the bag. At no point watching any of the Netflix build-up or the open workout did I look at Tyson and think, oh yeah, he looks really good here. No, he looked terrible the whole time. His legs looked shaky when he was hitting the bag. One of the Netflix shows in the build-up. It was a clip of Mike Tyson hitting the bag. And it's like he wasn't even hitting the bag that hard, but he knocked himself off balance and his legs looked all wobbly. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy really is geriatric. They also said that there's a noticeable decline in Mike Tyson's physical state from the Roy Jones fight. And he didn't look great in the Roy Jones fight. He looked like an old man even then. Yeah. And all the footage I saw, he was looking even worse in the lead up to the Jake Paul fight. So people, come on. If there was evidence, if there was any kind of sign or inclination or any little thing that would have, shown that he fixed the fight, I would have been one of the first people to say, yeah, it looks like some WWE shenanigans. Like the slap before the fight. That slap was fake as hell. That slap was just there to, get a few more signups, 100%. But the fight itself, I saw nothing in the fight to make me believe that it was thrown. Now, as for this script that's flying around, I mean, give me a break. If you were going to throw a fight, right, you don't need a flipping script. Seriously. Like, it doesn't need to be that choreographed. You just say, well, you don't hit me too hard. I won't hit you too hard, whatever. But in this particular round, I'll throw a certain punch and you go down. Yeah. I'll hit you halfway decent. The first time I hit you in this particular round, halfway decent, you go down. You don't need a damn script, literally choreographing every move in every round. Okay, that's ridiculous. Yeah? And the script itself, of course, was off because it had Mike Tyson getting knocked out in the 5th. And people are saying, well, because the script got leaked, Jake Paul changed it at the last minute. Oh, really? And he choreographed it with Mike Tyson at the last minute, did he? Some people are saying the script is legit because it had Mike Tyson coming out fast in the first round. I mean, are you having a laugh? Mike Tyson has started fast in every fight he's ever had in his whole career. Why would it be any different in a Jake Paul fight? So yeah, anything that Mike Tyson had, he threw it in the first round. Very simple. Yeah? The script was wrong. And it was almost certainly, as far as I'm concerned, just somebody who realized that there was this narrative that the fight could be scripted. And so he's like, you know what, let me come up with an actual script and put it out on social media to get a load of hits and likes and views. Simple. Yeah? I saw nothing. People were saying that Tyson was pulling his punches. I saw another clip on Instagram that was just absolutely just totally yeah, where Mike Tyson kind of hesitated to throw a punch. And the caption on the Instagram clip was, oh, Tyson's pulling his punches. You see, this shows that he was holding back and not going for it. Are you dumb? Like, do you not know the first thing about boxing? If you're out of range, yeah, against an opponent who's got the foot speed advantage on you, and you throw when you're not at the correct distance, when your opponent maybe feints at you and gets you to bite on a feint and you nearly throw, but then you hesitate. If you throw at that moment, you're open to being countered. A 58-year-old man doesn't want to get countered by a man in his late 20s if he can help it. When he's got a knee brace on, right? When he's wobbling around the ring like a geriatric. So of course he was hesitating, because he knew that Jake Paul had him on the foot speed and he had him on athleticism. So yeah, sometimes oh God, I could have gone then, but it's like a nervous person at a roundabout. Yeah. Maybe they're not that confident driving anymore. Maybe it's an old person and they reach the roundabout and there's loads of cars. Maybe it's a big roundabout with loads of different exits. And the nervous person's, oh God, nearly went. Oh God, they're not quite sure of themselves. They're not quite sure that they've got the reflexes to press that accelerator quick enough to get out. That's how Mike Tyson was in the fight. He's an old man, reflexes gone, legs gone, speed gone, balance gone, hand-foot coordination gone. Okay, that's all it was. Again, if I saw any evidence of WWE shenanigans in the fight itself from Mike Tyson, I would say. Now, for the people who say that Jake Paul carried Mike Tyson in the fight, I'm more open to that possibility after what I saw. I'm not saying Jake Paul necessarily did carry him. I think maybe in the last round or so, Jake Paul was holding off a little bit. Maybe last round or two. But I think earlier on in the fight, Jake Paul actually was trying to knock Mike Tyson out. He threw some proper haymakers at him. One of them actually caught him. Mike Tyson took it pretty well. I thought he was also cognizant of Tyson's left hook counter, which he got home a couple times. Because after a couple rounds when Tyson had nothing, okay, he came out in the first round, had a little bit of a go. Go back and watch the Lennox Lewis fight. That fight was like over 20 years ago. Mike Tyson came out and gave it a go in the first round. And after that, he was knackered. That was 20 years ago. He only had one good round in him 20 years ago against the guy who was sticking and moving. Okay, it was Lennox Lewis. Different universe to Jake Paul. But the point is, he had no energy against Lennox Lewis after the first round. Okay, why would you think he'd be any different against a moving opponent at 58? Do people not understand basic biology or what? There's just a lot of stupid people out there who don't understand things like biology and edited training footage. What it's designed to do. Yeah, it's designed to fool you into thinking the guy's a lot better than he actually is. Those combinations that you saw Mike Tyson throw in that training footage, the edited training footage, what do you think he was doing in between throwing those combinations? I'll tell you what he was doing. Exactly what he was doing at a public workout. Plodding around the ring. Plodding around the ring. Regrouping himself, getting his breath back for like 20, 30 seconds before the next combination. That's what he was doing. The people who fell for the Mike Tyson, I thought he was going to be like Mike Tyson of 1988 or something. I mean, how dumb can you be? There's no 58-year-old man, no 58-year-old boxer ever in history, unless he started boxing, in his 50s. I'm talking about, a guy who turned pro in his 20s. There's no guy who turned pro. Well, Mike Tyson turned pro at 18. There's no guy who turned pro in his late teens, early 20s, who is able to have the same speed or anything close to the same speed and athleticism and balance and physical condition at 58 as they did when they turned pro in their late teens, early 20s. Like, come on. So people got bamboozled and now they're experiencing cognitive dissonance because they got bamboozled. And I've got no sympathy for them. Because this was always going to be a circus fight. It was always going to be a freak show. It's a YouTuber who used to dress up as Super Mario going up against a 60-year-old man who hasn't had a proper fight for 20 years. It's a circus, okay? We watch it because it might be funny. And well, I don't want to say contrary, but unlike many other people out there who are talking about how sad the fight was, I found the fight funny. If Mike Tyson had got hurt, I wouldn't have been laughing. But because he didn't get hurt, I found humor in the situation. Mike Tyson waddling around in his shaky old man legs. Jake Paul, despite being in front of a geriatric, was scared. Certainly early in the fight, Jake Paul was scared. He was nervous coming to the ring. Yeah? If that had been any even British level fighter, cruiserweight or heavyweight, they wouldn't have been scared. They'd have been able to tell just by looking at Mike Tyson across the ring, this guy doesn't have anything. So that's my 2 cents. I saw no evidence at all the fight was fixed. Just a bunch of people with completely ridiculous expectations of what they thought Mike Tyson could do. And since he didn't meet those expectations, oh, he must have thrown the fight. I wish he actually had thrown the fight. I wish I wish it was scripted, because it might have been even more entertaining. Yeah, if they'd done some scripted WWE stuff. I used to like WWE. Attitude Era was great. Somebody actually said that in my Element group. They wish it was. In fact, was it in the Element group or was it in one of the previous live streams? Might have been one of the previous live streams, but somebody said they wish it was scripted because it would have been a better fight. Yeah, they could have cooked up something more entertaining. What we got was entertaining, but it's not like you'd want to watch it many times over. But oh well, what we got was entertaining to me, for a laugh, you know. Mike Tyson's always been somebody that likes to put himself in these trashy events, you know. I was dressing up in a bumblebee costume and doing that dance routine with Bobby Brown. That was crazy. So anyway, this ain't going to be a long live stream today. I'm going to cut it short here. I just wanted to get that off my chest regarding this whole scripted fight narrative. Unless there is some new evidence that compels me to change my mind, then I have to say that was a real fight in terms of Mike Tyson's performance. Jake Paul's performance, maybe in the final few rounds he held back, and he certainly didn't give it a grandstand finish, did he? He actually stopped punching and started bowing to Mike Tyson before the final bell. So yeah, that's my take on it. I'll catch you next time. I'll get to your comments and questions next time. In fact, let me just check the live chat in case there's any super chats. I will answer those. If not, yeah, I'll leave it there. Shout out to everybody who locked in anyway. I'm out.